Hi, Savannah. Welcome to the Doctor Nurse Podcast. So happy to have you on today.
Yes, I'm super stoked.
I have on today the NetWorth nurse, Savannah. Is it Arroyo? Is that how I pronounce
See,
your last name?
it
Okay,
is.
perfect. How did you figure out how to initially get involved in real estate? What piqued your interest, especially in
Yeah.
California?
Right. Yes, I know, right? I'm in Los Angeles too. At the beginning of 2020, I just had my second daughter and I was at home on maternity leave and just thinking about how I had to go back to work when she was 3 months old and hand her over to someone. And just that feeling of I didn't even get a choice. I have to hand over my baby because I have to go to work and get a paycheck. So that feeling of like I am a slave to this job type thing. And I love nursing and I love my job, but it was just when it came to that, it kind of shifted my priorities. I was on maternity leave walking around the park and I would just listen to podcasts on 2x speed and just listen to as many as I could, go on 2 hour walks and started learning about real estate and just listening to all these people that were out there doing it and making it work and all the different strategies. And me and my husband were like, all right, let's do it. When we started investing in real estate, people were like, oh, I want to get started. Can I partner with you? Can we hand you over money and you kind of do it for us type thing? And we realized there's a term out there for this. It's called syndications, and real estate syndications allow people to pool together resources. So we have people that passively invest with us. They hand over their money. We go out and we buy apartment complexes, which overall have way less risk involved, huge returns because you have multiple tenants in there paying all this stuff. So really, really high returns in these assets. I have nurses and doctors who want to get involved in real estate, earn double what they're earning in the stock market through their retirement accounts. And so they invest with us passively. We go out and buy apartment complexes, and yes, they need a lot of work. So we're pretty much flipping these apartment complexes
Yeah.
over a 3 to 5 year period, going out and buying something completely undervalued, rents really below market, something that needs a lot of work. And we're going and doing the work. And then through a 3 to 5 year period, flip it, and we're able to sell it for a huge, huge value. So during the 3 to 5 year period, we're cashing out our investors. We send them checks every 3 months. And then when we go to sell the building, they get all their money back that they invested, pretty much double is what we're
And then
looking at.
some.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's an amazing strategy, but that is a huge hurdle of overseeing the renovation. So my husband and I have worked really hard to build out teams. So we invest in Oregon. Our apartment complexes are up there. So we've created a really good team of contractors, property managers, brokers, lenders, and that's really just built over communication and finding people who you work with. We have
Trust.
very specific
Yeah.
strategies in mind, and we make that clear to people of what we want to do and if they can come on and help us out with it. And so that's kind of how we develop relationships and partnerships to help us with a lot of that stuff.
That makes sense. You just have to delegate. We learn that in nursing, right? I mean,
Yes.
that's what's so great about being a nurse is that these concepts that we learn in nursing school reverberate in different areas. And so you just have to go like, I know how to do that. I know how to delegate. Like, I know exactly what that looks like. I've just got to go how to make a really good team. So as you were kind of moving along this career path, and what else have you developed along your way? Because I feel like when I've been kind of stalking you online and just kind of figuring out what you were all about, I saw that you're also about to launch a podcast. You are involved in course creation. And is that
Mhm.
for nurses, like specifically for nurses to get into real estate? If there's, a nurse that's like, okay, so how can Savannah help me bridge these gaps
Yeah,
for my own
totally.
values?
So, I mean, that was kind of exactly it. As we were going out and doing these real estate deals, and I would just come into work and people would be like, oh, what'd you do this weekend? Oh, I went and saw one of our apartment complexes that we're building, just casually bringing it up. Right. And people are super interested in real estate. And when I started explaining, why I was putting 15 to 20% towards my retirement. Now I put 3%, which is matched. Not anymore, actually, because I'm per diem, but I changed that, and now I'm investing all that stuff towards real estate. So it was really just talking to nurses about it and then hearing nurses, especially throughout the pandemic, of being like, there's got to be another way. Like, I want the time freedom. I want the flexibility. I
Yeah.
don't want to have to beg for PTO from my employer. I don't want to
Yeah.
have to, do all this stuff for this career and not leave any time at home for family and personal, even self-care is just like completely neglected within nursing that I've seen. And so I became super passionate of sharing this with nurses and showing them, how easily they can get started investing through one of these syndication deals. And I started helping a bunch of nurses start investing with me. And then I realized there wasn't a lot of information out there. So as I started explaining syndications, no one knew what it was. And so I'm like, all right, I got to create some sort of educational platform. And that's when I launched NetWorth Nurse and started doing YouTube videos. I started jumping on podcasts to share my story to help motivate other nurses or women or people wanting to get into real estate. That's huge for me, the storytelling aspect of it. And I started putting out blogs, just a bunch of different educational content. So when nurses were interested, and they had more questions, I could say, hey, check out my website. I have a bunch of information on there. And then if they wanted to move forward and invest, I have weekly meetups that I do for real estate investing. And then the course creation has been like, people, as my social media following has grown, I have people reaching out to me almost every day asking how to get started. And I don't have any type of formal coaching, and people are wanting that. And I personally went through a coaching program, so I know how valuable that is to people. And so it really motivated me to create a course. And so I've been doing that. Yeah, I'm launching it probably by the time this podcast episode airs. I'm going to be already launching it. It's going to be a very immersive, extensive real estate course. And then we have a personal finance course, because I realized there was a lot of nurses who are like, I don't even know how to get out of student loan debt and credit card
Yeah.
debt. I don't even know how much to contribute to my 401k or what is an IRA. And so I did a personal finance course and a real estate course, and they're both going to be launched separately with individual coaching for them, so that there's a lot more interaction and accountability, some hand holding, which people want as they start learning about some of this stuff. And so that's really been the huge motivation behind all this, is like the gap for nurses. And I just have so much respect and love for the nursing profession that I just want to close that gap as much as possible and give people the option to have this time freedom in their life.
Yeah. So tell me about a time that you've had to overcome a challenge. Did something not work for you? Did something fall apart that you were thinking, oh, this is it? They've caught me. I'm an imposter, did anything like that happen along the way that you had to overcome?
Yeah, definitely. So in our first deal, it was a 12-unit apartment complex. We raised money from friends and family just for that deal that they were investing in. And there was a storage unit in the building that we were going to convert to a studio unit, which allowed us to generate monthly income by having a tenant in place and all this stuff. And we vetted it out before we closed on the property. We vetted it out with a contractor, an engineer, with our property management team and all this stuff. And they said it was a go. And we were really relying on them and their specialties to guide us in this direction. And the contractor gave us the green light. So we ended up closing on the property, started moving forward on converting it. And they went to pull permits from the city, and it was a no-go. There was no way we could turn it. And seriously, my heart dropped when I got the email at work. I had to go outside. I felt like panic mode, that flight or fight. And I was just like, no way, we have money invested in this. My father-in-law has money invested in it. It was just like, what in the world? Like, I felt like we had done everything right. But the thing is, in real estate and just life in general, any job, you go out and you're confronted with situations like that. And my husband and I think what makes us so successful at this is that when we're confronted with a problem, we look at it, but we don't dwell on it. It's not like a blame game. We weren't trying to shift the blame or justify anything. It was like, all right, this is what happened. What do we do next? Like, how can we solve this problem? And which I think is a huge skill in nursing too, of like, all right, what do we need to do to kind of fix this? And so pivot mode. And so we started brainstorming of different ways that we could come above on this. And we ended up turning it into a paid storage thing, chopped it up into 7 different storage units that we're now renting out